Hi, welcome friends. It is Tuesday, August 6th, and this is the monthly Cosmic Tower Q&A call. And we are delighted to bring to you the questions that people have sent in and also to have community participation and a lively discussion. We were a little late on getting not a little late. We were 5 minutes after the call started on getting the email out telling everybody the call is happening this week. So the audience might be coming in a little on the late side, and we might have a smaller audience for live engagement than usual, but we'll get through the questions that people have sent in up front. And for the people that are here live, we always enjoy a lively discussion. And if you want to just unmute yourself and converse, you're welcome to do so. Yeah, welcome, Nico. Appreciate you being here and the opportunity to talk about the Cosmic Tower again.
Yes, it's always nice. Thank you.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun recently. Things are just continuing to deepen and deepen all the time, and there's a nice momentum with the project right now, guys. The next container is being packed as we speak. All the towers are in existence now, and we anticipate the container leaving a little later in August from Germany than we had hoped, but still in August. And so we're looking at a September arrival now. We're currently out of Cosmic Tower 35s, but we do have the minis and the 75s and the 220s in stock. And we'll be adding, when the next container comes in, the 250s. And so, yeah, so there's good momentum there. And then Nico's been interviewed recently, and he's going to be interviewed more. A couple interviews in Europe this week, but some coming out in the US. So there's a nice momentum there. So there's just a couple of milestones to update you on. Nico, any other milestones you want to throw into the conversation?
No, everything's going well, and yeah, these are interesting times for humanity, and we talk a lot about the suppressed science, and I really feel that there's a momentum from a lot of different directions. I see all this coming into the open now, and it's really exciting because even though I'm sure for a lot of us the times are challenging, but I kind of see it as a birthing phase for, a new world that is happening. So while these are challenging times, it's also a very exciting time.
Yeah, there's that concept of as the problems get bigger and bigger, that the solution will appear,
Mhm.
exist. And I'm starting to feel that ever more confidently that that this is what the solution looks like and feels like, is us engaged in consciousness, meeting with open hearts and moving forward in dialogues each time. And it's a really beautiful path. So let's jump into what people have sent in for the Q&A. And so my doctor is keen that I don't detox at the moment, and I've read that the tower can cause detox symptoms and headaches. Please, can you tell me a bit more about this?
Yeah, well, it's going to be a little different for everybody, but oftentimes when we start doing something healthy, right, our body starts to have the energy to address issues that have been lingering for a long time. It's like you have people that are like workaholics, and then they go on a vacation and they get sick. Like, why is that, right? Because they finally relax, and they're in a great environment, and they're not on their computer, and they're not working. So the body is like, ooh, we get out of this fight or flight mode, and we start to have some energy. Let's address some issues that are there. So in general, it all depends on where you're at, but the best way to describe having the cosmic tower come into your environment is that your environment's going to feel more like nature, right? The body is going to get the resources that it needs to function properly. And oftentimes for a lot of people, everybody's at a different state, right? Some people need a lot more detox than others, right? So we found that, yeah, some people experience detox symptoms. I've never heard of headaches or anything, but those that are fairly healthy don't really notice that much of a detox symptom. So it's a very individual thing, but you can always set your intention with your cosmic tower for things to be very gracefully, and for things to not be so intense, right? And that goes a long way to helping with any detox symptoms. But we don't often, honestly, we don't get that many, reports of like severe detoxes or anything. I mean, but it is when you put your body in a natural environment and your being, oftentimes what does happen is things like emotional patterns that have been suppressed for a long time. They come to the surface and they show themselves to be addressed. But that is like maybe uncomfortable for a little while, but in the long run, it's very beneficial, right? So the cosmic tower works on all the layers. It's not just the physical, but it's also our emotional well-being and maybe mental limiting belief systems that simply want to be released.
About a dozen years ago, I had my first structured water device customers. And the device I was selling was made just from PVC. And a woman contacted me and told me that the device was leaching heavy metals and causing her to taste heavy metals. And I was really new in my journey, and I was like panicked. I was like, oh, how is this possible? I mean, the device is PVC and I got people tasting heavy metals. And I went around to a bunch of different health practitioners, and finally the story emerged. And the story was that the person was filled with heavy metals, and the water was so effective in being absorbed into her mouth that it was causing her to taste the heavy metals that were already in her body. And once I knew that that was the story, then over the last 12 years, I've seen a repeat of that probably about once a year. It's only maybe been a dozen people in 12 years. And now I know it's that the person's detoxing. And so I encourage them to slow down and drink less water, and or just know that that's what's happening and to relax about it and get through it. And it has been very successful. So if you're experiencing some detox from your cosmic tower, I think it's a similar principle. And it doesn't happen for many people, but if it happens for you, it's a really strong sign that there's something there, that the cosmic tower is helping you to detox. And sometimes we were laughing about this very recently. Sometimes it detoxes people. Sometimes it detoxes something physical. You just don't know what's going to get removed. Maybe it's even that you need to put attention on your car, and so your car starts giving you a hard time because your car is trying to get the attention to get you to replace the tires so that you'll be safer in the winter. It can just be a whole bunch of different ways, but just know that it's happening for your benefit, and slow it down with your intention if you need to. Okay, would the this was from the same person, for the home, would the 35 be best? I'm guessing it works between walls and floors, etc.
So yeah, the cosmic tower, since creates scalar waves, right? Scalar waves, they travel through walls, even travel through Faraday cages, right? So it's walls obviously are not an issue. And then the 75 is the most powerful. It's 6 times more power for the home. It's 6 times more powerful than a 35. But yeah, for people that have like, budget constraints, they can, get a 35. So yeah, the 35 is great for the home.
Yeah, I like to say that there's no reason to be financially stressed about making a purchase. If you just don't have the money for a cosmic tower, then maybe it's not right for you. If you have enough, but you need a payment plan, then just contact us and we'll do a payment plan for you. If you only have enough for a 35, you're not missing out by getting a 35. You're getting the one that was designed for a home. And if you have a little bit of excess flow in your finances, then a 75 is 6 times more powerful. So oftentimes the money conversation is really relevant there. For me personally, Nico's actually staying in my house right now, and he sees what my kitchen counter is covered with. I invest in my health. That's what I do with my money. So I take quite a lot of supplements, and I have a lot of tools of different types, and that's what's important to me. And so if that's what's important to you, then, you know, adding a cosmic tower could be, you know, really great. And the bigger, the better. When I first started out, I was borrowing Nico's 35, and we have a customer now who's really inspired about the Cosmic Tower project. And she started putting them in every room in her house. And that's when I realized that I could have more than one tower in my house. And so I now have a 220, a 75, 235s, and a mini in my house. And it feels amazing. So I'm not saying you need all that, but if you have the budget and the desire, like this person is really aligned with it, and she doesn't want to go into a room without it. In fact, she contacted me yesterday because she has a dental appointment coming up on August 29th, and she's going to take a 35 into the appointment with her. But she needs another 35 because she's going to leave her dog in the car, and the dog doesn't like to be left in the car without a 35. So yeah, you just do what's aligned for you, and no more, no less. We're just trying to find out who you are and match you up with your right towers. Okay, Nico, this is a great question. I'm glad this one came in. Am I doing the right thing? Meaning that is it, the cosmic tower, taking me away from the way I've been used to praying for God for guidance? How does one handle that? I think that is the only thing I'm trying to balance out now with my beliefs in the cosmic tower. How can I connect the two without feeling guilty, or that I'm not following God, but the cosmic tower? So the topic of God and the cosmic tower, and the strong beliefs that some people have of, you know, deep alignment with the way they know God. What do you think about this?
Yeah, I mean, you shouldn't change, you know, everybody has their own beliefs. So you do what resonates with you in your heart. And there's no need to change that when the cosmic tower comes into your life, because the cosmic tower is like a sacred power spot, right? So it creates a sacred space in a sense. It creates a harmonized space. So just keep praying to whatever your beliefs are. It's like when you go to a temple or to a sacred place, you don't pray to the place, right? It's just the place and the energy of it that creates a harmonized environment for you to have an easier connection in accordance with what your beliefs are, right? And it's like, I use the example of the oak tree a lot. If you have a big oak tree, it also has a beautiful, harmonious, natural field that makes connecting a lot easier for you. It's not like you would pray to the oak tree, right? But you might find that if you're sitting under the oak tree and you relax and you're in the harmony, in the harmonious environment, that it's easier for you to pray, meditate, or connect in accordance with what your beliefs are. So there's no need to change that, right? But just enjoy being in a harmonious environment so you can have an easier connection with what resonates with you in your heart.
Think of the cosmic tower more as an extension of nature than a replacement for God, right?
Yeah.
It's just creating a natural harmonic environment for us
Yes.
to thrive in. And from inside that environment, we can pray to God however is aligned with our being.
Yeah.
And there's no need to change that at all. Okay, I find myself maybe also, in quotes, seeing things that are negative and through situations close to me. I thought I would have harmony all the time. Oh boy, I'd like to sign up for that. Or maybe not. Where would the growth be, right?
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on some of these negatives that are creeping in? So I think this is a situation where somebody gets a cosmic tower and they thought, okay, this is it. Now I'm going to live in bliss. Like life's just going to be harmony, and things that they term as negative are creeping in. Yeah.
Yeah, we talked earlier about detox, right? And there's physical detox, but there's also emotional patterns that are stuck, limiting beliefs that are stuck, and they come to the surface because they want to be released. I think, you know, there is no one thing in life that you can get or that you can go to solve all your problems for you. I just don't think that's a realistic, you know, view of life. I mean, even if with my own journey, I also went through a lot of difficult times. And even when I had the cosmic tower, but that's where the growth is at, right? That's how we become stronger. And if I go and look back, it's not, yeah, there's a lot of happy moments and there's a lot of, feeling in harmony and a lot of positive experiences. But if I look where the real growth is, it is in the challenging times, right? And those are not going to go away because you get a cosmic tower, right? I mean, those are needed for your being, those are needed for your soul, and those are what takes you to the next level. But what I have noticed for myself, and also I have heard from a lot of people, is that it just happens more gracefully, or that there were certain patterns that they knew deep down that had to be addressed, certain relationships that had to be addressed, certain things in their life that had to be addressed. And before the cosmic tower was there, they just kind of kept stuffing it away and suppress it. But then once they had their cosmic tower, they just felt more supported to finally address those things. And they'll even admit that at the time, it's never, fun to confront those things or to address those in the moment. It's kind of like going to the gym or like working out. Maybe in the moment you're like suffering, but afterwards you feel a lot better. I see it as the same principle here, which is that if you look at things from a bigger perspective, and maybe like after the fact, you notice how these were shifts you just had to make in your life. And I find the Cosmic Tower very supportive in getting people there and maybe helping bring some things to the surface, because who knows, if you keep suppressing them for a longer time, there might be a blowout, or it might be much worse or much more difficult to deal with. And also, it's just not good to stuff things away in your body, right? And in your being. It causes issues over time. And also, it's a tremendous, amount of energy that it takes from you, because for every for all the energy that you stuff away, you basically have to apply energy. It's like a ball you're holding underwater, right? And the water level keeps rising and that pressure builds up in your being. It's much better to let those things go. So yeah, getting a cosmic tower is not like, okay, now I'm done. Everything's done for me and it's harmony and bliss from now on. Absolutely not. So things will come to the surface, but that's all for the better in the long run for our being.
I think my favorite word they use there is grace. Like that's the one I was really thinking of. And if I think about my multi-year journey with cosmic towers now, like when it first really landed in my life, I immediately had a breakup. And it was painful and it had some drama in it. And when I think back to like the frequency of that and how that felt, there was like a me that was like looking for the other shoe to drop and that was living from a little bit of a place of terror. And if we fast forward 2 years and we look at the way things are now, it's like when something comes up now, it's got a certain grace to it. And I have a confidence that it's happening for my best. And it's like the gradient has become softer. So it's not that things don't come and go. It's just that my drama attachment to them and my level of fear and anxiety about the way they were going, it's not really there anymore. It's just like, oh, this is going on, let me understand and let me align with this moving me forward. And truthfully, it's on the closing end of those situations that I feel the wholest, widest, strongest, best version of my vibration in life. It's like right at the end of a growth season as things are transitioning out of that season. So I think it's a huge support for this. And it's even challenging my concept of what negatives would be. I don't think I've ever had literally, I'm 54 years old. I don't think I've ever had a better chapter of being single in my life than I'm having right now. Like I just feel super aligned and it feels graceful. And I have a deep confidence that there'll be another relationship in the future when the timing is right, but I'm not looking for it. And it feels really good. So not so many negatives anymore, just life experience. Okay, Nico, can you answer a question about the Cosmic Tower for me? I live in a home that a business is run out of, and Wi-Fi is always necessary for that business to run. Fortunately, the house is of a decent enough size that I can at least go to the ends of it where signal struggles to reach. So my question is, does having a Cosmic Tower in a home ruin or disable Wi-Fi signal for those who are using it?
No, it does not, right? So it's not going to affect your Wi-Fi signal in a negative way or your cell phone reception. It works on the principle of harmonization, meaning that the signal gets harmonized to where it's not harmful to your being, right? But it doesn't take away from the functionality of the Wi-Fi or other wireless technologies.
Okay, great. So this person is asking about crystals. I know Harold said not to put any extra crystals with the Cosmic Tower, but I have a few small crystals plus a couple pieces of organite. Should I get these out of my house completely?
No, I have to mute some people. No, you don't have to. I think Harold was just saying, don't just put crystals on top of your tower and close to them, because those crystals might not be like clear, right? And that they might carry some a non-positive like energetic imprint. But we do have people that have put crystals around the tower that have the ability to measure it. Right, and it's always best to test, right? There is like no like golden rule, like do this or do that. It's just like if you're not sure, we just have recommendations, don't put them close to it. The other thing you can ask is for your tower, to clear those, right? To clear the crystals that you have in your home or any organite pieces that might have energy that's not like beneficial. You can ask your tower to clear those, and it's not like you have to remove them from your home.
Great. Nico, I'm going to mute all, and so you might have to unmute, not sure. And there we go. Okay, perfect. And just a little cleanup on the sound. Guys, we love participating with you in live conversation, and you are welcome to unmute yourself and participate or raise your hand or turn your video on and wave. Like, we'd love to answer your questions live, and we just mute everybody to keep the sound pristine as it's just us talking. Okay. Does the Cosmic Tower pair well with the Biogeometry biosignatures products, specifically the pendant ring that are worn on the body? I bet you like this question, Nico. You've been really
I have the biogeometry, I have the pendant myself because I love it and I love the biosignatures, and yeah, they play very well together. For me, the biosignatures, they're very good to get a specific outcome, right? And I like to draw them and use them, to address anything specific, but just see as the Cosmic Tower, creating harmony. And biogeometry also creates harmony, but in a different way, through the way of shape, right? So from my experience, they're very compatible, and we also have a lot of biogeometry practitioners. I see Mike on the call, who's like one of them that love to both work with the Cosmic Tower and biogeometry. So yeah, absolutely, they work well together.
Yeah,
But the only thing is that I find biogeometry to be a lot more technical, and you need a lot more knowledge to apply it. And the Cosmic Tower is just easier. I know one of our researchers, Theo, he had a good way of explaining that, like, he's also likes to measure with biogeometry and use biogeometry. And he made that same comment, and he said the Cosmic Tower passes the mom test. He's like, my mother is like, I think she's in her 70s. And with the biogeometry solution, for example, the cube, she has to put it on the clearing plate and she'll forget, or she doesn't like think about it. He's like, I don't have to worry about that with the Cosmic Tower because it doesn't, need any like technical knowledge to implement it, and neither does it need to be cleared, etc. So I like how he phrased that it passed the mom test, which makes it easy to use.
Yes, it's simple and easy for sure. Okay, Nico, you love to travel with your 35. So how do you safely pack it? Is it better to just bring a mini, or is traveling with a 35 safe?
Well, it's absolutely safe to travel with a 35. You know, if you're flying, obviously it needs to be go in your check bag, right? And you cannot take it in your carry-on. So I will just have it in a hard shell like suitcase. And honestly, with mine, I just wrap like a towel around it, and then I put my clothes all around it, so the 35 is in the center of my suitcase. So any impacts are softened, and I never had any issues with it. If you want to be like, you know, even take it a level further, you could use the big bubble wrap and put a layer of that around it, and then pack your clothes around it. So no issues there. Typically, you know, if it's like a short trip, um, I usually don't go through the effort to pack my 35 if I'm flying, but for any longer trips and I'm going to a place where there is no cosmic tower in the home, yeah, I love having mine with me. And it's been, I'd say it's been on airplanes at least 10, 15 times at a minimum, that I've taken it to different continents. I mean, to Mexico, to Egypt, you know, to Europe, all over the United States, but without any issues.
Sounds great. All right, so it's summertime, and this person says we're having a heat wave. How hot is too hot for the Cosmic Tower 35?
Yeah, that's a great question. And when we talked to the producer, the manufacturer, he wasn't too worried about the upper limit. But typically, you know, the cosmic tower is going to be inside in your own home, right? So how hot's going to be too hot for you, right? Are you going to sit in a 100 Fahrenheit environment? Probably not. So I think for most places, for most people, like for in their home, there's absolutely no issue there. And we don't have like an established, like this is like the upper limit, right? But keep in mind, if it's in your home and I would say temperatures are below 100 or even or that, you're going to be fine. So I wouldn't worry about that. So just don't put it out. Like if you're in Las Vegas and it's like 120 outside, don't go put it outside in the sun, right? Use your common sense.
Yep, I think if we think about it, like it's maple wood on the outside, and if you think about other things you have that are wood, and when they warp or when they get degraded by the sun, that would be a good way to think about it. And if you think about people and when they warp or get degraded by the sun, right? So if you take us and you take us to Palm Springs, and it's like 120 degrees there, you know, I've driven through there and my truck was like laboring to keep the air conditioning on, right? Things degrade in that environment, then there's reason for concern, like get inside. But if you're just living in Texas and it's just really hot and you have all the windows open and that's how you're doing the summer, you're okay. Like that stretches you to the max, but you're okay. And if you got to go AC, you know, probably good for the tower to just to go with you. So and then shipping during the hot summer, no, the shipping companies actually take pretty good care of the packages. I'm sure there's like a route where a truck runs, you know, 6 hours driving from Texas to, you know, or 15 hours from Texas to California, like that Palm Springs run that I did. That's pretty hot, but it's not going to be boiling in there. And you know, if you think about the millions of packages that Amazon ships and that they all arrive okay, you know, we don't get things unless you're ordering chocolate in the summer. Like you don't order something wood on Amazon and it shows up melted. Like it's okay. And the water's not going to boil, the wood's not going to crack. So um Yeah, we're shipping in the summer, and that's all going really smoothly. Okay, there's two people who wrote on the same topic, so I'm just going to read it all together and we'll just throw it out there as a topic. How long does it take to structure water coming out of the tap or has just been brought to the house? And how long does it take for the towers to maximize their effect on water specifically? And does time vary based on which towers you have, etc.?
Yeah, so like the towers, they immediately do a structuring. If the water comes out of your faucet, as Harold would explain it, it will cut the water structures, right, to single water structures to where it becomes structured again. And we don't really have any specific times on like leave your water out for this long to get the maximum effect. I mean, clearly with larger towers, just simply have more energy, right? And things can go a little faster. And I don't think Tio's on the call today, but he did some experimenting and he noticed that if the water, when he let it sit out there, you know, for a few minutes, for 10, even 20 minutes, that the quality would get even better. So you have the initial structuring and you have the neutralizing, you know, of the toxins that kind of happens, you know, immediately when the cosmic tower, when it gets in the field of the cosmic tower, the water. And then you have like the water quality that's even rising because more of the harmonic frequencies being infused into the water. But what you can do is like, you know, you can have your water and you can have a dispenser and you can have it sit out and kind of make a shrine for your water and do whatever else you would like to do to really connect with your water. And you know, you have the Vitajoule dispensers that have the crystals hanging in it. I mean, I do like to have the water out there in a dispenser because I like to consciously also connect with water, right? And so that might be a way to do that, but there's no real like guidelines for this many minutes for to get the maximum benefit for the water.
Yeah, I think I can give some data that suggests that immediate's okay and longer is better, right? So immediate's okay. I've been traveling a lot for the last 4 years, and I move a lot, and I'm not always situated in a place for long enough that I want to take the time to put a structured water device on the shower. And so sometimes I don't. And I've actually been living in the current home for over 2 months, and I haven't put a structured water device on the shower. And I think it's because I never noticed the water being bad. And I think that's because I have towers in my house. And I have the 5 towers right now that I mentioned, but I didn't always have a 220 in there. That came after I moved in. So a 35 or 75 is enough, and you know, having a 220 is even better. But it's so immediate is fine. And then the more we make life sacred, the more we make our relationship with water sacred, the better off we are. So those Vitajoule Grande decanters are gorgeous. I remember when I first got one, it changed my relationship with beauty and water because it was so beautiful when I got it that I changed the layout of my house, and I put a table dedicated specifically to the decanter, and then I like put a frame on the wall above it, and I put a plant next to it. It was a pretty unusual bit of decorating for me. It surprised me, and then I realized like it was at a point where I could like see it all the way across the house, and so when I went to go get my water, I'd be walking to this kind of shrine, and it impacted my life. I started noticing beauty outside in the yard more too. Like it really it was a factor. So if you feel like pouring your water early, put it in a crystal vase, or put it in a crystal container of some kind, or put it in a Vitajoule, or put it in a Blue Bottle Love, or just put it in glass and be mindful of it for a minute. It's all good. The more we do in that direction, the better. Okay, is there a reason why the cosmic tower should be at least 2 feet away from a TV, etc.? And is the water in the cosmic tower the full spectrum healing water that Harold spoke of? Okay, two
Yeah,
separate. Yeah.
Yeah, so the first one, like you don't want to put your cosmic tower right next to like sources that are obvious interference, right? Like you don't want to put your Wi-Fi router on top of it, or you don't want to put it right in front of your TV, right? Give it, give it a chance to breathe, right? Give it a chance to build its field. So yeah, if you keep it about 2 feet away from like obvious sources of interference, that's best. And the cosmic tower, I mean, it's working for you, right? It's like providing a harmonized environment. So give it a spot that's, kind of sacred to you, and to make it easier on the tower, so it can breathe in a sense, and build its field.
Nico,
um
let me jump in on that one, then I'll reframe the second one for you just to set you up for success. So again, the more we make life sacred, the better. So if you can have a place of honoring your tower, and a place that's at heart level, and one that helps you be mindful and prayerful, and that works for you, please do that. But don't get stressed and let your mind get overactive. Like, there's a plug here and this is the only place I can put it, and now this won't work. It's not like that. It's just there's good, better, best, and there's no bad. So do your best to keep your cosmic tower away from electricity. Electricity is not good for anything other than the things we power. It's not good for human beings. It's not good for cosmic towers. It's not a match with our vibration. It's just a tool that we use. So do your best to keep it away from your plugs and your appliances and whatnot. I love that you use the analogy of putting your Wi-Fi router on it. Like, that would be the opposite. That would be perfectly the opposite direction of what we're looking for. We're looking for the calmest thing. So if you have a little water feature in your house, a little fountain or something, you might put them together. That type of thing. Okay. Is the water in the cosmic tower the full spectrum healing water that Harold spoke of?
yes, that's correct. Harold used to call it the rainbow water, right? Because it has the full spectrum of light in it, which is what living organisms, which is what we need. And it's what makes it so powerful, that there is no overlap in frequencies, because when there's overlap, you could have, certain part of the spectrum that gets canceled out, or gets like way bigger. So yeah, the waters Harold specifically chose, and they tested them from, I think, over 600 samples of healing springs, to get that full spectrum water, which he called the rainbow water. And because when something produces scalar waves, right, like a cosmic tower, what it does, it imbues whatever that it's harmonizing with those qualities. So in this case, like your water at home, it basically gets infused with the qualities of these healing waters, and that's a big part of why it's so beneficial to have a cosmic tower.
Great. I want to prompt the community. The community has built here over the hour. I want to apologize to all of you who were late. It was my fault. I didn't send out a reminder email until the call had started, and that's on me. I'm sorry. Thank you, Marcia. I did it last month too, but got away with it a little bit more gracefully last month. So after this meeting, I will be putting a reminder in the calendar to get it right. Yes, thank you for your encouragement. So I apologize for you guys being late. Definitely on me, and I'm glad that the audience has built as we've gone. The next question is the last one that we have that was pre-prepared. So if you guys want to engage with your own questions in the chat or live, this is the time to prompt you that we're going to be coming to you next. Okay, I have my mini, and usually keep it close to the 75, but I've had it in the protective cover in my handbag, so whenever I go out, I never forget, and it's with me. However, is it best to take it out and put it next to the bigger tower when not in use?
No, not specifically. I'd say the best place to put it is, as the person mentioned, so you don't forget it when you go out, right? And the 75, remember, the mini is protecting you while you're outside of the range of your bigger tower. So when you go back home, its job is basically done, right? And you're back in the field of your 75. So there's no specific place to put it. I would just say put it in a place that you don't forget to take it with you when you're going out.
All right, that is everything on that. Oh, this is nice to hear. I just received my tower. It was packed very, very well. You guys have no idea what it took to get comments like that from you. This program was perfect timing. Well, Jude, we're delighted that you have your tower and that it was packed very well. We had a 75 sent out with a single sheet of bubble wrap a couple weeks ago. I can't even tell you what that experience was for me and how hard we've been working to communicate effectively to get things traveling well to you. So we're delighted that it was packed very, very well. I'm like relishing on that for a minute. It's kind of a big struggle for us. So yeah, so at this point it's live questions or we're closing up. So does anybody want to raise their hand? Oh, good. Love seeing your hands. I see Marcia first, so I'm going to ask her to unmute, and Judy, I'll be to you next.
You had said before, and I just want you to repeat it, about not having the tower by mirrors, because it's in my bedroom and it's next to my it's on my chest of drawers where I have a mirror, and then my headboard's got mirrors. So I've covered it, but I just want to remember what you said about not having it by mirrors, please.
Well, I'll start that one because, you know, Nico just came into my house and my landlady loves mirrors. There's like mirrors everywhere, and it's like the whole wall. And Nico's walking around going and putting covers on them, and then I have this Vesica Institute kit with the is it the L90?
Yeah, it's the L shape.
And Vesica Institute doesn't always have their little pieces in stock. And so, Nico, have you experimented with the ones that were in the back of the car yet?
Yeah, those are no good. We'll talk about that.
No,
we'll talk about that later.
So we're Vesica Institute sells the L90 strips, and you just put one. And I was like, well, do I have to put it in the right corner or the right way on the mirror? And you know, Nico, he's like, just put it on the mirror pattern. And so a bunch of the mirrors in my home have now been transformed with this simple little tool. I think they cost $9 or $11 on the Vesica Institute website when they're in stock. So we're gonna continue to talk about those biogeometry tools and make them available, but you can just go to Google and put in Vesica Institute. And actually, I think the best way to do it is to type Vesica Institute L90 into Google, and that takes you to the page because it was a little hard to find. So that'll get the question started. Nico, you want to add anything?
Yeah, that's you know, that's a good solution, right? Because they also, you know, in the biogeometry, they recommend, like, definitely in your bedroom, do not sleep, you know, with a mirror, because I think it inverts the image. And I know Mike's on the call too. If Mike wants to jump in, he's welcome to. He's a geometry practitioner. So we definitely recommend, you know, not putting the cosmic tower like in front of a mirror. Would you like to add something, Mike, to the whole mirror question?
No. Hello, everyone. I think you described it pretty well. Thanks, Nika. So basically, I just want to maybe to summarize all these messages from you and so I have been using cosmic towers and biogeometry tools all together, and it looks like this is a great combination. So whoever wants to start experimenting with them, it's a good start, I think. So please do that and let us know. So I do a lot of measurements, a lot of comparisons, but it looks like there was never any conflict or problem between those two solutions. So they must be very complementary to each other.
Mike or Nico, can either of you speak to the L90 or the L66 and what the differences are? I just put links for both into the chat on the Vesica Institute website, and both are showing us out of stock. Do you guys know the difference?
I think if I remember that correctly, the definition is for L66, it works more on the physical planes. in terms of energy fields, and L90 is more like towards higher vibrations, towards spiritual planes, but they can be used together. So I think it's worth considering them as a package. So they are not very expensive, so you can buy both of them.
There's
Yeah.
a little button on their website for notify me when it's back in stock. We filled that out recently and I haven't heard. I do think that company in general has trouble staying in stock on their products. So they're not the best, but that's the source and the original place to get those stickers. Okay. So yeah, oh great. Jude says, can you explain the problem with the mirrors? She's got a wall of mirrors.
Yeah, I'm not the expert on it, but from what I understand, it inverts the image, right? Which creates energy that's not beneficial for you. And I also know in a lot of spiritual traditions, even before I learned about biogeometry, I know my Taoist teacher would say, you know, not to have your mirrors uncovered, especially in your bedroom, where you sleep. Mike, do you want to add anything to that?
No, I don't consider myself expert, but I'm using there's these L stickers to be used to be applied on each mirror in the house. So basically, I think it improves the energetics of the environment in general.
Yeah, it feels like, you know, one of those small things we can add that makes a difference. And you know, I like continuing to add more tools, more sacred geometry, more tools that are creating more harmony. And I think overall, when we just have a focus of allowing these things to come in, we end up with a really harmonious home or workspace. And, you know, people come in and like, oh, it feels so good in here. And it's like the cultivation of some of these little things along with the bigger tools can really carry the day. Okay, Judy, thanks for your patience. You had a question?
No problem. First of all, I'll say I live in the country. I have a 35 and a Mini, which I just love having in my home. I take the little Mini everywhere with me, small trip, big trip, whatever. And I stripped all my earthing products since the last meeting we had. My question has to do with chemtrails. I have no idea what they are. What are they?
Well, it's really interesting, right? Because for the longest time, if you would Google chemtrails, they would tell you, oh, it's just a conspiracy theory and there's no such thing going on. Well, to me, that was clearly nonsense because when I was a little child, I would watch the airplanes. I was a pilot since age 15. And so I watched the skies a lot, right? And I could definitely tell that something changed because a condensation trail is normal, right? If a jet flies at a certain altitude, right? Basically the jet and the water there is very, very cold, but it's also very still. So when a jet flies through and excites those water molecules, you know, a vapor forms. But then that vapor, right, which you can see behind the engines from an airplane, it again then goes in this state, you know, where they disappear. So that is normal. That's what they call a condensation trail. But then, yeah, the chemtrails, they're not normal, right? And it's basically they're spraying all kinds of particulates in the air for who knows. I mean, there's so much on that, a lot of like information that you can find online. I'm not an expert, but I know that there's aluminum particles in there and there's and all kinds of other things that are really not good for the environment and for living organisms. The why of that, I'm not an expert, and there might be people on the call that are way more researched on chemtrails, right? But I know that you can do weather manipulation with them. I mean, I could also, you know, if you wanna, I remember, oh, when was it? Years ago when California was experiencing this drought. they had this what they call this ridiculous like resilient ridge of like high pressure that basically, you know, ensured that there wasn't any rainfall, right? I mean, weather manipulation is real. I mean, the military has been using it since Vietnam and probably before that. So I know that that's one aspect of it. Who knows what else the you know the adversaries are doing to impact our health and to impact the environment. So in short, and again, I'm not an expert, but basically there's things being sprayed, aerosols and particles in our air that to basically to for certain agendas like weather manipulation, but I'm sure a lot of other things. And I do know that there's a lot of information available, and I think some of that might be quote unquote more conspiracy theory. Other things might be accurate, but one thing is clear. Yeah, there's definitely things being sprayed. And I was really excited because I saw that in Tennessee, actually, they passed a bill against chemtrails to where now it's no longer allowed in the state of Tennessee. Now, the funny thing is when you Google it, Tennessee chemtrails, the first 2 pages from Google is all like, oh, chemtrails are a conspiracy theory. They're not real and they're just speculation, blah, blah, blah. I mean, this is the world we live in. Now, the good news is, with the cosmic towers, so definitely like the large cosmic towers, they can reach, that high in the atmosphere to where they can neutralize things like chemtrails. So what if you have a smaller cosmic tower? The best way I can describe it is imagine you have this bubble around your house that also extends upward. So if any particulates or any things that come down from the sky haven't been neutralized yet because there's a big tower in range, the moment it hits the toroidal field of your smaller tower will ensure to neutralize any of those particles. So I hope that
Thank
answers your
you. That's very
question.
reassuring. Yes.
Yeah.
My 2 cents on it is that they're chemicals and they're being dropped without my consent. I don't consent. And that there's a identification from deep within me that I just feel really joyous when I see real clouds. Like it just feels so good to see real clouds. I remember in 2016 landing in Colombia, I went down there for a visit, and the clouds are just really vibrant and alive, and it made me happy. And so there's something about it that I can just tell you from my energetic reaction to it. I don't want chemicals sprayed on my head. I mean, I don't even have any hair to protect me from it. I know that it's raining sooner than everybody else because I feel the first drop. So whatever they're dropping is dropping on my head, and I don't consent. So good that we now have energy tools that are powerful so that we can begin to build the harmonic environments that we want. And hopefully, my dream has always been running the wellness enterprise, that someday we would get structured water into the hearts of the people that fly those planes, and they would receive their orders and they would decline to fly the plane. That's been my dream about how we stop chemtrails together. So good topic. Okay. Anybody else have a question? Oh, there was more on the mirrors. So if a mirror on the opposite side of the room from the tower, is it okay? Or just don't place a tower directly in front of a mirror?
I just would not put it directly in front of a mirror, right? And I know about the reversing of the image. I'll do some more research on it. Or as we said, with the L90 stickers, put one on it so you put a correction on the mirror.
Okay, great. Anybody else have any questions? Okay, well, that's an hour. So that's a wrap for I see more people are still coming in. I just want to apologize one more time. The reminder email inviting you guys to this call went out late. That was my responsibility. I will get it right next month. And we meet on the first Tuesday of the month at 3 o'clock Eastern time. And we appreciate all of you that found the email and got yourselves here. We appreciate the community conversation and the ones who have been sent out, the questions that have been sent in beforehand. You can always send questions in to support@thewellnessenterprise.com. And Nico, we got one more question, which is how much area does the Cosmic Tower 35 cover?
Yeah, so the Cosmic Tower 35, I mean, you can create a bubble of about 100 yards, right? But everything always depends on also the environment you're in. If you're living in a pristine environment in nature, right, your Cosmic Tower can go further, right? If you live in a city or in New York City, there's a lot more distortion and a lot more pressure, and your tower has to work harder, right? But from our experience, and actually Theo, one of our researchers, he lives in San Diego, which is a very, dense environment, and you have a lot of 5G, Wi-Fi, radar, military installations. And actually, is this video going out this week, Pat, or next week with Theo? The good thing is he talks about how the 35 was able to keep up and worked well, like for his home. So it was enough even in an environment like his. But then he also got a 75 a few weeks back, and he felt that like expanded it like beyond his home and made the bubble even bigger.
Our video production schedule is a little bit fuller than usual right now, so that one is looking at 10 days from now, the Theo one going out, and is still subject to change. Stephen, thanks for raising your hand, and I'm going to ask you to unmute and please join the conversation.
Hi, thank you. I have two questions about the Cosmic 35 versus the 75. I understand the 75 is 6 times stronger, but is that just in range, or do you actually feel that if you're close enough?
It's both.
Both?
Yeah, it's both. So the way you can look at it is a little oversimplified, but what determines the power of the tower, which is the amount of water that's in it, and then how far the water vessels are spread apart, right? If the water vessels are further apart, you create a larger field, and it's not a linear thing. It's like an exponential scale. So the way I describe it is the Cosmic Tower has, for example, this much energy, and then there is all the distortions in your environment, right? So certain things the Cosmic Tower clears, and it only needs to do it like one time, right? Because there was like a distortion there. But then there are other things that continuously need to be cleared, like, like 5G and like your Wi-Fi. So you could imagine that the Cosmic Tower in a way pushes out, and you have these other things pushing back on it, and then it's going to find its equilibrium in its field. So to answer your question, it's both. So the 75 has a greater range, and it also has more energy and has a stronger energy. And you can feel it, the difference for people that are sensitive. So and when there's more energy available, things just tend to move a little quicker, right? Just like with the body.
And thank you. My other question is, would you suggest trying a 35 before investing in a 75 to see if it works for you?
It's whatever you're called, to do. If that feels most comfortable for you to start with a 35, don't start with a 35. The only caveat there now is that we're out of stock on those, and we're gonna have to wait until the new container, while the 75s we still have in stock. And we had people that started with a 35 and that then loved it and wanted the 75, and we thought they were going to trade their 35 in, but they ended up keeping both because they got attached to their 35.
When we first started
You're
presenting,
welcome.
when we first started presenting these to the community, there was a lot of purchasing of 35, so it was like a concentration. And then before the first container arrived, it was interesting as the dialogue matured. people started, before they ever received their 35, canceling that order and upgrading it to a 75. And I think one of my biggest surprises, and I watch the crowd to see what the community teaches me, is that over time we've sold about the same number of 75s as 35s. So I would suggest, if you're wrestling with that question, a better place to look is your finances. I understand that there's a little bit of doubt as you're going to get something that costs more than $1,000, whether it's $1.5 or $4,000. You know, it's a certain amount of money, and we want to have a certain amount of confidence. But generally speaking, if spending $4,000 or $1,600 is relatively the same for you, like it's not going to make or break your finances for the year on doing one of those, I would encourage you to get the 75, because we've had a very, very low number of returns and a very high satisfaction level. And we've put a parachute of sorts in place for you, because we don't want people to struggle with these things. And there's a certain friction to trade-ins. So we have published on the Cosmic Tower product page on the Wellness Enterprise buyback prices. And if you are interested in doing an upgrade, I think that the price that we pay for a rehomed 35 is we pay you $1,380. You buy it for $1,680. We pay you $1,380, and then we resell it to the public at $1,480. And that's just the friction of moving it from one person to another. So your risk of starting small is $300. And if you're comfortable with that and that makes you feel safer, do it that way. That's why we put it in place. We don't want you to worry about it. We want you to have freedom about it and just choose what's right. So if the money's flowing, buy the bigger one. And if it's tight, your risk is only $300 on going incrementally. So there's good paths either way.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Okay, so let's see. Rebecca wants to research mirrors, Nico. I don't know if you have any suggestions for her. She has one in every room.
Yeah, I learned about it in the biogeometry, but I will do some more digging, and then also from like some of my spiritual teachers that taught me about it. But I'll do some more digging so we can share that on the next call. But I found it about the inversion of the image was in biogeometry.
Great. Constance is writing about Mexico. Probably best, Constance, to take this topic to email. Just email support@thewellnessenterprise.com and tell us what you have going on and what it is that you're trying to cause. Mexico is super tricky, and we have gotten a few towers in there, but it's not something I want to talk about on a recorded call. And we'll work with you to figure it out. It's a very custom situation to get towers into Mexico. Like to give you a perspective, you know, we sent a 75 into Mexico, and the Mexican government opened the box, sealed the box, communicated nothing, sent it back through UPS, and UPS gave us a bill for $150. It's like, that's a very dissatisfying experience. So and just you know, so you know, I didn't pay that bill. I told UPS what I thought of their policy, and they actually stopped billing us, which was amazing. So sometimes you can stand up to these big companies and the way they're doing things, but that was one experience. Okay, Constance, let's get in touch. If you want to pass me your number or send me an email with your number, however you want to do that, you can direct message me in the chat by choosing the little box where it says everyone. You can just you can scroll. I see Nico's name right on top. I don't see my own, and you can just text your phone number to Nico Martins. Oh, okay, great. I got your email. Okay, guys, I'm in a situation where I'm caretaking an elderly friend, and the amount of time that I have available has just ended. So I need to end this call and go provide care. So I appreciate that as we're wrapping up here, you guys are coming on with the questions. We adore this engagement, and we'll get the reminder out sooner next month, and you guys bring the questions earlier in the live call, And we're just going to have a great call. And thank you, everybody, for being here. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording.